Commandment 8, you shall not steal. Exodus 20, verse 15. This is another one that sounds pretty self-explanatory. And it is. But if it was never written as a law, then people wouldn't know it was wrong. Just like Pastor Andrew explained in this week's sermon, that coveting is wrong, and people wouldn't have known that until they heard about Commandment 10. Do not steal. This is establishing the societal norm that people have personal property, and God is commanding us not to take other people's property. Just like the rest of the commands, this one also relates to God. If we as Christians believe in God and believe that He is the creator of the world and everything in it, then that means everything in the world is God's property. When Pastor Andrew preached on the acceptable sin of greed recently, he asked us a very good question. He said, when it comes to money and material possessions, do you see yourself as an owner or as a manager? Are we managing God's property that He graciously loans us? Or do we believe it's our property and ours alone? Hopefully, we choose the answer that we are managers and God is the rightful owner to all. And if that is the case, then we are stealing from God. 1 Chronicles 29, verse 11 through 12. Yours, Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the majesty and the splendor, for everything in heaven and earth is yours. Yours, Lord, is the kingdom. You are exalted as head over all. Wealth and honor come from you. You are the ruler of all things. In your hands are strength and power to exalt and give strength to all. Since God is the owner of all things, He essentially is loaning people certain possessions for a limited time to be stewards over them while they're here on earth. So if we are stealing their possessions, then we are stealing the gifts that God has blessed them with. But stealing does not just involve physical property. We can steal time from our employers who pay us to do a job when we're slacking off or maybe even doing personal things on company time. We can steal ideas that belong to someone else. We can even steal from God, who gives us everything and asks us only to tithe 10% of it. We can even bring in last week's command of adultery by saying that if you sleep with someone else's spouse, you are stealing their husband. Sometimes we steal things because they belong to a corporation, and so we're not connected to a physical person. Like maybe when we steal pens or little items from work, or maybe even it's the robe in your bathroom hotel. But the heart of this command asks us, are we honoring God with our choices? And are we honoring His possessions? This command can be summed up as, do we want to be known as takers or givers? The Bible calls us not to steal, but instead to give generously. Matthew 6, 3 through 4. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. God gave us this command to live a more joyful life by honoring Him and His people. By following this command, our lives will be more peaceful. So instead of focusing on what this command calls us not to do, let us remember what God calls us to do. As Jesus was quoted in Acts 20, verse 35, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Ladies, I just want to thank you so much for coming and just being part of this virtual teaching time. I'm sorry that we can't be together, but I am excited for next week when we get to be back together again in person. If you guys have any questions, please post them in the comments, and as always, we'll be praying for you.